Montgomery County. It was incorporated in 1890 and named Takoma because of its many hills and high points. Takoma is an Indian name that means high up, near heaven. But until 1997, this earthly location, which borders the District of Columbia, laid within both Montgomery and Prince George's counties. But on July 1st, 1997, everything changed. The division ended. The unification began. The dream of one was realized by many. And for all of Takoma Park, it meant one city, one county, and one collective victory.
The most important thing to me about unifying Takoma Park into one county is that it would increase the ability of Takoma Park to have an effect in county government. Right now, the city being divided 2/3 into Montgomery County, 1/3 in Prince George's County, doesn't have a central focus when you go out and talk to people about county issues. When I speak to people on the Prince George's side of the city about something that's happening in Montgomery County, they don't often know what I'm talking about. Similarly, when I talk to people in Montgomery County about something that's going on that's important to Takoma Park in Prince George's County, they don't know. That's not what their focus is. As a result, I don't think that the city is having as much effect on county government as it could have, and I don't think our citizens are as focused and united as they could be were we in one county. We see ourselves as a community, a single community. This artificial barrier has divided us in a lot of ways that just don't make sense, and have added a burden to the city government.
As a council, we've taken a position for unification. As individuals, we've all signed various statements, including the ad that's in yesterday's Takoma Voice, supporting unification into Montgomery. But as a council officially, we have no position as to which county we should unify into, just that we are for unification.
The city was in two counties. You had to deal with two county systems, Montgomery and Prince George's, two county executives, two county councils, two delegations, two of everything, two court systems, and being in one county simplifies things for us so that we don't have to do twice the work of keeping up with all the issues that you deal with in a government in relationships with other governments at the county level. So it's made it a lot simpler.
You have a city administrator, Beverly Habita, and I can't think of a more tenacious individual that kept after it, nor a county council, nor two mayors, or three mayors actually, in the time that we started it. I believe Mayor Abbott, Mayor Del Judas, and now Mayor Sharp. All three were tenacious and persistent, as well as the county, as the city council. And I can't recall all the names on it, but I've never seen a more aggressive group that worked well with their delegation before. And it's to their credit that this bill passed. I'd like to think it was just the legislators, and the legislators can take a lot of credit for it. But it could not have been done without the persistence from all the elected officials and the city administrator. The area that gave us the most trouble was getting the bill for unification through the General Assembly. At first, I believe it was somewhere around 1980 when we started. And here we are 17 years later, and we are just going into unification. And every year, there was a different reason why it was not a good idea. First, we couldn't get it through the delegation from Montgomery County. Then we got it through the delegation from Montgomery County. And then we had locked horns with Prince George's County delegation because they did not want to give up their portion of the population in Prince George's County. Eventually, we came to an agreement. Everyone agreed that it should be in one county, one or the other, and agreed to a straw vote. And we had a straw vote. They still didn't vote for it. And then we went on again, a roundabout with Prince George's County, and they eventually did agree and set the date for unification for July 1 of 1997. And it seemed like forever till it would come, and here it is.
Well, I think from my point of view, there are two reasons. I mean, one, in the community itself, I think unifying the community in one county had a symbolic value. It is a community, it is one town, and the division with the schools, the division with the county services, I think was disruptive and confusing for people, so I think it was important symbolically for the community. From my point of view as well, though, it was important because it's what the community wanted. Self-determination is as important in Takoma Park as it is in South Africa, and I felt that if that's what the community wanted, and the community has demonstrated over and over again that that was their preference, that they should have the right to do it.
Well, the unification process, the thing that I remember most is the involvement of the people in the affected area. They really worked hard, and they got their message across to the elected officials that had to make the decision. There were block parties, backyard parties, and a big push for unification.
Certainly I want to compliment the mayor and certainly the council, but the citizen advisory boards that have just made this unification process a real pleasure from a political sense to work with. They had a unified voice, they had a goal, they had definitely direction, and they all worked together. It was probably the best teamwork operation I've ever seen in all the years that I worked together. Everybody wanted it to happen, and they made it happen, and therefore it worked.
This is a historic event, although there are other municipalities that are in two counties. This is one that was particularly difficult for those who lived in Takoma Park, and we hope that we've resolved their problems and that from now on life will go on more easily with less confusion, a better response by agencies of municipal and state and county government, and that we'll all feel that the right thing was done at the right time for the right reasons.
The citizen involvement in this unification effort is really something to study and remember, because a lot of folks were very active on this question years and years ago. I refer specifically to the former mayor of the great city of Takoma Park, Sammy Abbott, who was quite a character and quite a statesperson in his own right. He had a lot of significant accomplishments during his tenure in public service, a lot of controversy as well, but one of the principal positions of his administration was to one day unify the city of Takoma Park. That day finally is going to come, largely as a result of the effort that he started and many others assumed over the course of a number of years. But I do want to recognize Sammy and people like Tom Gagliardo, who were very active early on in the process, and then, of course, present Mayor Ed Sharp carrying through not only with that vision of one day having a unified city, but of organizing enormous numbers of citizens, very active in the political process, to the point where we could have rallies in the city a few years ago, which brought out hundreds of people, all of them in support of unification of the city and the right of the voters to determine in what jurisdiction they would be allowed to reside. It seems almost a foregone conclusion that that ought to occur or be allowed to occur, but it's really a very drastic and dramatic change to modify a county border.
One Takoma is the third formal citizens group organized to lobby the state legislature for the bill that was required in order for unification to take place. First, the legislature had to approve the holding of a referendum, and then residents of Takoma Park had the opportunity to vote. That was in November of 1995. One Takoma was the third group. Before that was Citizens for a Referendum, and another group called One City, One County. The group was made up of 100 or more active members. There were many, many more supporters. We raised money, mostly through the sale of T-shirts. We had events. We regularly went to Annapolis. We met legislators. We talked to them. We explained to them why we thought unification was the just thing to do. We engaged in the nitty-gritty of politics in Annapolis. We learned a lot. We made mistakes, and the bill was passed. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of sweat, but a lot of fun. I think the first thing is how long it took. I mean, it's 1978. The idea is introduced. 1997, it becomes reality. We went to the legislature on 14 separate occasions. On 13 of the 14, we were told, sometimes rudely and sometimes not so rudely, but nevertheless we were told 13 or 14 times, go away. That alone impresses me. And what impresses me more is that the people at Takoma Park said, so what? It's the right thing to do. We're coming back until the job is done.
The final thing that was a major project for our teams was coming up with an educational packet to distribute to all of the residents, business owners, and property owners. And that has been a difficult undertaking, but with a great deal of volunteer help, we are getting these packets of information prepared and will be hand-delivered to all of the households in the city. And this is something that we've had Girl Scouts, the fire department, community organizations, and a number of just nice citizens coming in and helping us with. And it's that kind of thing that makes this a fun project, and I think, brings home the fact that this unification really is important to many people on both the Montgomery County and the Prince George's County side of the city.
My name is Marie Ritzel, and I'm representing One Takoma today. We have conducted a massive education campaign in the city of Takoma Park to educate voters on precisely how to vote for unification into Montgomery County. Our organization has advocated unification into Montgomery County, and so we have provided leaflets. We are in the process today and tonight of calling hundreds of voters in Montgomery County because I think that's where it gets a little trickier, and explaining exactly how to vote and what the anticipated outcome will be. In addition, we have leafleted, I think, just about every house in the city with a flyer that explains exactly how to vote, and we have an ad in the local paper, which is a huge ad that just came out yesterday that it also explains. So I think my sense is that people really understand the ballot.
I was talking to Sherry McMahon. There were about maybe 7 or 8 of us, and it was almost like a cell block meeting, and we would get together, and we were a titled name called Citizens for a Referendum to Unite Takoma Park in One County. Not a very catchy name. And we didn't have any way to shorten it or anything, so every time we used it, it went on and on. Now, the line between Montgomery County and Prince George's County went in and out people's houses. It went through people's living room and dining room. My neighbors 2 doors down the street, their kitchen is in Prince George's County, and their living room is in Montgomery County. I really feel like the citizens of Takoma Park really were the ones that got, where they got the interest from, I don't know. I'm somebody, but Larry Hush had started this group, and where we all came from, I don't know, whether it was in the newsletter. We can't remember. You see, it's been so long ago, we can't even remember how it started. And then we got, people in the city kind of interested, but it was a citizens movement. And I have to thank all the citizens and the hardworking people that did the many phone callings. We had a phone bank, and we inundated the state of buildings over there in Annapolis. We called all the time, and people kept saying, my Garland must be a long street. Everybody is called. My Central Avenue must be a long street. We said, we have a wonderful 4th of July picnic. Would you like to come? But we had everybody. The people over on the other side of New Hampshire called, and people in Montgomery County called. So we had a tremendous amount. This latest citizen movement was wonderful. We didn't meet. We didn't have to meet. We just got the phone bank going, and boy, it worked. It really piqued and perked people's interest. And you got to give a lot of credit to Ed Sharp. He was there all the time working away. We started out kind of as these laid-back, aging hippies, you know, kind of coming, and everybody laughed at us. Oh, the oddballs from Takoma Park are showing up at the State Building. And this time around, you wouldn't recognize us. You know, people came in high heels and suits and ties. And we started out with our T-shirt, our One Takoma T-shirt, and of course everybody said, hide the T-shirt. We got to look professional. So we went, and we monitored at a lot of the meetings, and we had to be sure that they didn't say things that were going to be to our disadvantage. So it really worked hard, and there were a lot of very, very hard-working people.
This year there's been a lot of energy. I mean, tonight there must be 35 or 40 people floating around the building here. We had a kickoff rally yesterday. There was a lot of support. We got a lot of politicians came and gave speeches, and we've got a lot of T-shirts. So I mean, you know something's serious when there are T-shirts that have been made. I mean, that's the epitome in America of a serious effort. So it's going on right now, and something is going to happen on this year. I'm convinced of it.
I remember the unification process from the first few years that we were fighting it, because it was about a 15-year fight. And in the first few years, we had an awful lot of hostility through the Maryland Municipal League, which is the association of municipalities in the state of Maryland. My job when I was on the city council in the 1980s was to focus on the Prince George's County Municipal League. And Governor Glendenning, then County Executive Glendenning, had a real clout in the Prince George's Municipal League. He also exercised it against us. Each year for the first few years, we would lose the vote that was taken in the Prince George's County Municipal League. And that was an important vote because it was a vote that would then be passed on to the state legislature and the county council, and they would use that to justify their own votes against unification. So by about the third year of the fight, we decided to take a different tack on unification. And what we decided to do was we decided to really be good hosts. And every opportunity that we had, we would invite the Municipal League to come to the Takoma Park Municipal Building for their meetings. And we did that a few times in the third year of the battle. And the night that they were going to take the vote on unification for, I think, the third time, we invited them back. We were the hosts again. And we went out and we hired somebody in town who was Debbie Messenger, who was a caterer at the time. And we got Debbie to make some really good food and some really good plates, and we put it out there. And we did a spread before the meeting. And if it didn't work, we got the Prince George's County Municipal League to vote in our favor for the first time. And a few people like Guy Tadirio and a few others said that we bought the Municipal League with food, but, well, maybe that was true, but it worked. Didn't help with the state legislature that year. It didn't help with the Prince George's County Council, but it certainly did get those guys.
I was involved from really the first day that I lived here. It was a centerpiece of Sandy Abbott's dream. He was the mayor at the time, someone with a lot of vision, and we all saw it as one of the things that we most wanted to achieve. I worked as an assistant to the Corporation Counsel. I was his law partner, and the two of us together did a lot of the legal work around the issue. Later on, I became the Corporation Counsel myself and have been in that role for over 10 years. And we've worked on it both politically and professionally as lawyers. Every single time I had to draft legislation for Takoma Park, the issue would come up that I had to be thinking about how it fit with Prince George's County code issues, and then separately how it fit with Montgomery County code issues. It often meant we had to have, instead of going under either of the counties, a separate municipal law just for Takoma Park. But there was always that sort of doubling of effort of having to understand both legal systems. Every time we filed a case, we might have won an issue in Montgomery, but we'd have to fight it out again in Prince George's. Every time I dealt with police officers when I was advising them, we had to know the judges in Montgomery. We also had to know the judges in Prince George's. So really it doubled the amount of legal time, I think.
the city has for years tried to kill itself, and by asking the state legislators to take another look at it, hopefully this time we'll be successful so that we can operate under one umbrella. I mean, it's awfully difficult. It creates problems. It costs the city money, and the residents are denied the maximum opportunity in terms of services rendered. So if the state delegates look at it, and hopefully reasonable people tend to make reasonable decisions, we'll be able to move forward, and the city will enjoy being under one county.
It worked very well, and I thought that all the people who were involved in unification pulled together, and there was really a sense of community. There was really a sense that we were all working toward the same goal. It was really one of the more unifying and community-building experiences that I've ever had, and I think that's what ultimately made us succeed. That unification was so important that people put aside other differences and worked just on unification, or worked predominantly on unification. And if it hadn't been for everyone working together, I'm sure we never would have succeeded. No one thought we would be able to do it. But we're Takoma Park, and we can do what we set our mind to. And it was really a very, I don't know what the word is. It was quite a thing that we did, and I think everybody in the community should be proud of it.
It is a lot simpler in terms of the way you have to think, the way you have to operate, the people that you need to deal with. It's only Montgomery County now, pretty much, and that is a whole lot easier, particularly for the police department to deal with, because they only have to deal with one county jurisdiction, one district court, one circuit court for cases. And it's made everybody's lives a lot simpler.
I do believe that there's a lot of folks that participated in the program that were very instrumental in bringing this all about. And oftentimes, you don't hear about them, you don't see them, but they were there. And of course, the elected officials on both sides, Prince George's and Montgomery County, were indeed very active in it. But I do believe that as a result of the grassroots individuals becoming involved, that they made this a reality. And to that end, I like to personally thank, and I wish I could, each and every one that participated in the process.
I want to take a minute and just focus on Sam Abbott, who all of you gave a great round of applause to Ruth, and it shows the affection you have for Ruth and also for Sam. And this idea of unification, as Tom Gagliardo has noted, was really Sam's idea. And he, in my opinion, was one of the most effective and legendary leaders that we've had in this area. And when I say effective, I don't necessarily mean diplomatic. Sam really redefined the words caustic and acerbic. And along with his effectiveness, he stopped, as you know, the interstate coming through Takoma Park. He had a number of major victories to his credit. But his reputation definitely preceded him in Annapolis. And Lynn Bradley, who is not with us, but was, I don't think she was on the city council then, but she was a big activist in this issue, went down and told me that when she went into the packed hearing room, she sat down next to a very nice-looking gentleman who said, do you think you could point Sam Abbott out to me? And she said, yes, he's a couple of rows up and over a little bit. And he then said, why are you down here? And she said, well, we're here for the unification issue. And she proceeded to talk about how great unification was, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally she turned to him and said, and who are you? He said, I'm from the state police, and I'm here to keep an eye on Sam Abbott. I want to just bring us back to the memory of Sam Abbott, who did so much for us and gave us such passion and leadership on this issue. Thank you.
Over the years, there were a total of 14 bills introduced giving Takoma Park the right to vote on the shape of its future. 13 failed. Then, in 1993, Takoma Park residents became imbued with a new determination to win unification. The reason? Former Takoma Park Mayor Steve Del Judas, then as now serving on the Prince George's County Council, initiated a resolution in the Prince George's County Council supporting the right of Takoma Park residents to vote on the question of unification. Steve had cut his political teeth working for unification in the early days. Now, thanks to Steve's energy, enthusiasm, and political skills, his resolution passed. The Prince George's County Council joined the Council of Montgomery County in favoring the right of Takoma Park residents to vote on unification. Steve, thank you.
Thank you, Ed. First, let me say that it's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm going to make one personal observation. Today is a day that I welcome with a great deal of joy, but with some melancholy. My political career began very early in Takoma Park as an ordinary citizen working in groups like Citizens for Referendum. But I first held elected office in 1985. Today is the first time in my political career as an elected official that I do not represent you. I welcome that because it's what the city deserves and what the city needs, but I do so with some loss.
The Berlin Wall would fall before Takoma Park was united, and that's correct.
And so, as a lot of stories go, this too is history. From the mind of former Mayor Sammy A. Abbott some 19 years ago, to the reality that we now celebrate in Union. The tale of two counties is now one Takoma.